All right, we are live. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I am here in beautiful Squamish, British Columbia, and I'm joined by the one and only Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media.
Now, hello, humans. Let's get some questions up on the board. I guess we will be answering anything. It's kind of dangerous territory to enter into, but anything you want us to talk about, we will talk about.
Now, bear with us for a sec. We're going to be posting this. We have to share it on Steemit, and we're going to share it on Facebook and Twitter, and I hope that you guys will please do the same. If you're just tuning in right now, go ahead, grab the link, and share it around on Twitter, Facebook, and be sure to get your questions in the comment section below, and we'll be paying close attention to the chat window today. Of course, if we get any super chats in, we'll be taking priority over the super chat questions. So if you want to do that, it's a great way to show your support. Also, we're going to be paying a close attention to our Steemit accounts, and that's at steemit.com. My account is at Press for Truth.
Yeah, and mine is at Josh Sigurdson.
So head on over to steemit.com, and like I said, we're going to be posting there. What is this? Missing posting authority. Press for Truth. What does that mean? I've never seen that before.
Try it again. It might make you log in.
All right. So again, if you're just tuning in, please help us out by sharing this link. Missing posting authority. I've never seen that before.
Steemit is giving us an issue currently.
Yes, we're having a strange issue on Steemit. Are you able to post?
Yeah, I just posted.
All right, so Josh is currently live on Steemit.
Yeah,
so
the perks
good.
of being live. Yeah.
Well, you can head on over to Josh's Steemit for now, anyways, and we definitely have that one live. So we'll be.
It's always got to be something.
Yes. So now we're going to be bouncing around back and forth between the chats. All right, Josh, we got a ton of comments and questions and stuff going on here in the chat. So I apologize if we don't manage to get in your question. There's going to be a lot of comments and questions floating by. We'll try our best to scroll through and look for the question marks. Hi, The Economic Truth.
That is John Snyson.
Oh, John. Hey, good to see you. Well, can't really see you, but you know what I mean.
You're here in spirit. It's
Joe Brown says hi from Ontario. Adam says hi.
These are some hard-hitting questions, guys.
Someone subscribed me to this channel without me knowing. What do you guys do? Asks Angie Laura, I believe is her name. I'll let you maybe fill that one in for a sec, Josh, while I try to figure out my Steemit post.
Yeah, so we are independent medias. Dan has Press for Truth. I have World Alternative Media, and we do whatever we can to provide the information that the mainstream media doesn't provide. And it goes from everything from politics to economics to culture to, just basic freedoms, individual liberties, confront the politicians that don't want to answer the questions, try to do the job that the mainstream media is supposed to be doing. But of course, we know today that they aren't on either side of the spectrum, because it really is pigeonholed between the left-wing media and the right-wing media, and no in between, no room for questions, objectivity, and actually answering the questions that so many people out there want to have answered. So that's basically a quick rundown. I mean, Dan has been doing it a lot longer than I have. Lots of confrontations, lots of video reports, lots of interviews. You name it. You name the political figure, at least one of us has probably interviewed them, and it just we try to dig deep into that kind of realm. So I guess if that answers your question, hopefully it's not an ill will that you got subscribed automatically by one of your friends, but hey, dig in, you might enjoy it.
All right, I am going to scroll through here and try to find some more questions. Thanks so much for that. Again, we'll be keeping a close eye on the Super Chat and the Steemit post. Please share this out on your Twitter and your Facebook if you're just tuning in, so that other people know that we are live right now. Okay, we got a question from Adam Scott. What do you think about NATO doing drills in case of a North Korea attack? Good question, Adam. A lot of this talk lately about North Korea has, to me, seems like it's been a lot of smoke and mirrors. Like, I'm not so sure how legit this threat is, but it seems that Trump has taken the opportunity to potentially use this, as a grandstanding opportunity, because when presidents are faced with war, they often get more support from the public. So,
Yep.
What do you think about NATO potentially pulling off drills, or what exactly was the question there? Let's see again. Sorry, there's so many coming through. We're going to have to...
That's good, though. That's good.
What do you think about NATO doing drills in the case of a North Korea attack?
Well, NATO is entangled in basically every world affair. It's a nefarious globalist warmongering entity, part of the military-industrial complex. With North Korea in mind, now, I've done a lot of reporting on this, and I do believe that there is some kind of ramping up for war with North Korea, but not out of defense and not necessarily something that needs to be happening. Obviously, pushing a war with North Korea is incredibly detrimental to just affairs between China and Russia, not to mention the human toll it would have. So first of all, I want to go into how the United States helped prop up the North Korean regime in the first place. Moving on over to today, we're seeing kind of a Ho Chi Minh kind of situation like we saw in Vietnam. There could be a Gulf of Tonkin incident happening any day now. And I want to look at, is Kim Jong-un truly dangerous to the West? And the answer is simply no. What NATO can do and what a lot of the North American missile defense program, what these guys can do with the power that they wield is basically shut down missiles on takeoff. So if a missile were to hit the United States, I'd be questioning how it got there in the first place. Was it allowed to happen? Is it a Pearl Harbor scenario? And then second from that, the North Korean military is commonly forced to eat grass. They are shoved into starvation. And last time I checked, you starve dogs so that they viciously attack other people. But when they're set free on the people that are torturing them, well, there's a good chance that they'll attack the hand that, didn't feed them. And in the case of the North Korean military, the fact that they're forced into starvation tells me that these people are desperate and they probably don't like the regime too much. They're just forced to pretend that they do. And then the people of North Korea, USBs are being passed around. People are waking up slowly to what's going on with their regime and how they're being basically controlled by this, communist dictatorship that pretends to be God. I mean, Kim Jong-un passes himself off as God to the people of North Korea. It's horrible. So I think those people are starting to wake up. And, if the United States were to attack North Korea, it would cause a massive conflict. First of all, Seoul, South Korea would probably be wiped off the map very quickly because it's so close to the border. And then also there's about 150,000 Chinese troops allegedly at the border of North Korea. There's a Russian Navy at the northern border of North Korea. And there's all this nonsense happening around in the Sea of Japan. And that tells me that there's going to be a conflict, but it's not out of defense. Like I said, I think that this was all planned. It's a great way to ramp up, concerns between Russia and the United States and China and the United States. The United States just put sanctions on China and Russia, telling China that they can't use the US dollar anymore, and I'm sure China would love that, considering their push towards a cashless system. So anyway, long story short, I think that it's a horrible thing for NATO to be involved in this, but I don't think anyone should be surprised. I think we should just be speaking out against this warmongering because, of course, Trump ran on a non-interventionist policy. And, we've seen how that turned out. He is now threatening Venezuela, North Korea, Syria, to some extent Russia with Tillerson, and talking about doing airstrikes in the Philippines. So, yeah, you kind of get what you pay for.
All right, guys, let us know how our signal quality is. It looks like we've been getting a little bit choppy, but if the signal remains to be okay, we'll just keep going. Mm-hmm. But if it gets really choppy and the audio is bad to hear, then let us know, and we'll probably have to end the broadcast. But it looks like we're back in action. right now.
Have you been able to post on Steemit yet, Dan?
I haven't been able to post on Steemit. We've actually had a brand new problem. I'm getting a message that says missing posting authority. Press for truth. Never seen that before. Maybe if anybody out there is familiar with that kind of a error message on Steemit, they can help out. But it is still in beta. For anybody who doesn't know what Steemit is, this is a new social media platform that Josh and I have been posting on. It's being able to supplement our income from YouTube, really, with the cryptocurrency called SBD, Steam dollars, that we've been earning for posting there. And then we sell the Steam dollars for Bitcoin, and then you can trade that for whatever you want, gold, silver, or even fiat cash straight into your bank account. So that's what we've been doing. But I'm having a problem posting it to there right now.
First time I've ever seen this.
Yeah, so but my intention was to be able to take questions from my Steemit followers there, but Josh managed to post on his Steemit, so head on over to his. He's at Josh Sigurdson on Steemit at steemit.com, and then get your questions in there. We'll keep monitoring that, keeping a close eye on it.
Well, I see a comment from Hedden Gregerson. Antifa people were raised by single moms in most cases. Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of truth to that. I think a lot of them were just spoiled a lot as kids and weren't ever taught right from wrong, and basically were told throughout school, even if they came in last place, that they won. You know, this whole kind of self-esteem movement that's been pumping up since the 70s. And a lot of these Antifa people, they are just throwing adult temper tantrums. They are looking for an identity rather than actually doing the work to actually understand issues and have a political ideology. So I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, I'm sure there were quite a few single moms in there. There is a destruction of the family in modern day society. There's no doubt about that. And it is having a toll on the public.
Okay, we got a ton of questions going on here. What's going on, gentlemen? Ask Canuck fan Josh. Oh, that's Josh Steffler. Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hello.
What's this? Do you choose not to discuss international Jewish power controlling our politicians and society? All right. The Jew question. Why don't you talk about the Jews, Josh?
Oh, thanks, Dan. Thank you. Okay, I find this, it's rather lazy. I have an issue with, political Zionism, as most should. It's another system that is really doing a lot of destruction around the world. We've seen that within Israel. I mean, I have a big problem with the Israeli government. I have a big problem with political Zionism, but Judaism is a different situation, guys, and now... Again, thanks for handing me this question, Dan. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for this one, but mostly for all the wrong reasons. But a lot of people look for, like I was talking about with Antifa, an identity. So instead of really putting in the work to see how are they controlling us, the use of collectivism in order to enslave the masses, to push them into debt servitude, to push them into fear, which is another form of servitude to the state, instead of looking at how collectivism, coercion, affects the individual, people look to groups. It's easier, and yes, there are some, incorrect statements about the Holocaust, but that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. That's the issue. You see a few problems with official stories, as there always is with any official story, and you see a few inaccuracies, and that suddenly leads you down this rabbit hole of these people on the internet that are pushing this idea that all Jews are secretly conspiring with each other in order to overthrow the world, which is just simply not the case. I know a lot of Jewish people who are incredibly great people who give me the shirts off my back, but then you look at some people that are claiming that, the Jews are communicating telepathically in order to take over the world, and it just gets into this realm of nonsense that never ends, and it kind of just brings people into a more collective divide rather than understanding the problems of collectivism itself. So as far as the Jews go, there are some really bad people that happen to, they claim they're Jewish. I don't think they're true. They don't follow Judaism. They more follow that political Zionism I spoke about. Yeah, there's definitely, it's easier for Jewish people to get into university. These are statistics that are true. And there's people within the central banking system and, in the banking system worldwide and in government that happen to be Jewish and in media. But that doesn't mean all Jews are suddenly evil people that are working together to overthrow us all. There's also a lot of Aryans in media and banking and, business. There's also a lot of black people. There's a lot of, Muslims. You can go through all of that. Judge people as an individual, because that's exactly the opposite of what the government and the establishment wants. The establishment wants us judging each other as collectives and then fighting while not fighting the real issue. So that's what I have to say about that. But it's kind of a subject that there's a lot of issues with. Are we good on
yeah, we seem to be staggering in the connection a little bit, guys. I think we got cut off briefly, but I think it just reconnects, so it automatically continues. But it looks like we did jump offline for a little while. So we may have to end this particular broadcast because it really depends, unfortunately, on our Wi-Fi at the time. And we ended up going kind of late in the evening today. And I have noticed before in this particular neighborhood where I'm in, once all the 9-to-5ers get home, the internet starts to get a little bit slow. So it's
I just shut off my video on my computer, so hopefully that helps the internet a bit. But let's see. It looks like we might have.
Bear with us, guys. It says the video output is extremely low right now, and we seem to be kind of choppy with the stream. We're buffering a lot, and not even sure if we're even live right now. So we may have to end this one, guys. I apologize about the poor stream, but that doesn't mean it's completely over. We may be back sometime soon.
We tend to be...
Yeah, we're jumping in and out, it looks here, guys. It's possible we may weather the storm and be okay. But I don't want people to have to sit there listening to us all choppy. Let us know if you can still hear us okay. I'll see if I can get through some more of these chat questions.
That hopefully aren't about the Jew world order, as they call it. Yeah, I haven't gotten any questions on Steemit yet. I'm surprised. Usually Steemit's pretty active for these kinds of things. But
my Steemit is not working for some reason or other. But again, Steemit is just in its infancy, really. I think they just hit something like 400,000 users.
Yep.
So it's still pretty new.
It needs the support of the individuals that are watching this video. If people get involved and get on Steemit and start sharing the word around to family and friends, then, we are looking at the future. We are on the ground floor of what's going to replace a dinosaur social media, which is censoring us at every stop. And I think it's important that we move to a decentralized platform like Steemit. And what can you possibly lose? I mean, you don't have to put money into it. You can either make a few cents or a few $100s. Either way, it's better than not making a few cents and not making a few $100, doing what you would on Facebook or Twitter anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it seems that we're back, I think. We seem to have a pretty strong connection, so let's keep this one going, guys. I'm going to continue to work on my Steemit. I want to try to get that going, too. We may have missed a bunch of questions, so I'm just going to try to scroll through. Somebody says, Trudeau, talk about Trudeau. Yes, of course, there's always no shortage of douchiness coming out from our commander-in-chief, our feminist drama-teaching Justin Trudeau. I believe he just released something about a new tax plan today, but I've been busy working on other videos. I haven't had a chance to delve into that one. But you recently, not too long ago, had the chance to actually get up in the guy's face and call him a scumbag. I've talked to him a few times. I've asked him about Bilderberg, but I didn't get to call him a scumbag.
That was one of the best moments of my life, because I think most Canadians would love to call Trudeau a scumbag to his face. Just quick rundown. I mean, I went to a press conference, found out last second, half asleep, no food, rushed into the place, and they actually gave me a press pass. And once I got in, we did this photo op and everything, and it was nonsense. And then I actually went to ask him a question, and the person from his administration came up to me and said, "You can ask one of these questions." So I'm like, well, I have a different question. And she said, too bad. So he's got the script for whatever questions CBC agreed to ask him and didn't write themselves. So I thought that was wrong. So I waited, and as soon as people were in between questions, I just shouted from about 6-7 feet away from him, how do you feel about people having to choose, or how do you feel about people in poverty having to choose between heating their homes and feeding their families in the winter under your carbon tax? And he just told me, you're being rude, sir. Please stop interrupting. You're being rude. There's no one talking. Then, security shoved me against a wall, basically choked me out. And I eventually, once I found a way to kind of allow myself to be in the room a bit longer than I usually would be. I told them I couldn't find my bag when I saw my bag, and they're just scrambling around looking for my bag. And as they looked for my bag, I confronted them more. And eventually, when they kicked me out of the room, I said, shame on you and your globalist counterparts. You're a scumbag, an absolute scumbag. And next thing I know, it was on national news, and people in Peru were messaging me about seeing it on the news. It was an incredible moment, very strange, kind of like a Twilight Zone moment. But Trudeau, in Canada, less than 50% of small businesses make it past the first year. And I think 95% fail after the third, or before the third year is over. And to raise taxes on small businesses is absolutely sickening. Small businesses, which Trudeau, by the way, called just tax havens, places to, put your taxes to hide it from the government. And if that were the case, I'd be like, right on, find a way to hide your money from theft. But I think that it's a bit hypocritical too, because it turned out that Trudeau had a whole bunch of shell corporations himself and was doing just that. So I mean, he's basically just speaking from experience and not from knowledge of how many people are struggling to get businesses off the ground while fighting state monopolies that have been subsidized and regulated to the top, while the small businesses fail and people fall into poverty.
Not to mention the fact that he is still to this day continuing to jail people for, interacting with the plant. And this comes after he rode in on the weed ticket. I mean, this guy basically got the youth of Canada to vote him in on this promise that he would legalize cannabis. And what we've been seeing is a takeover of the industry. Basically, cannabis is going to be legalized eventually in Canada, but it's not going to be done under the way that Justin Trudeau is promising that it's going to be done. And we've been warning about this. I made a documentary film about it. It plays like a documentary film anyway. It's only about 10 or 15 minutes long, called The Trudeau Deception. And in it, we outlined exactly what was going to come down the pipelines here with the LCBO being pitched to sell the cannabis in Ontario, and just with the corporate takeover, really. Marijuana Inc. moving in is what we've been warning about, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Thank you for the question. Check out the Trudeau Deception. I also made another one called the Trudeau Foundation Exposed, I think it's called, where we got into his pay-to-play kind of tactics, similar to what you see in the United States with the Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation and that campaign. We're not big fans of our current feminist drama teaching overlord,
to say the least. And people always find a way to get into that left-right paradigm, right? So I tried to confront Harper many times. He was really hard to get to, but I tried to confront him a whole bunch of times because, well, basically he pushed a lot of socialist policies. He pushed a lot of fascist policies. And, now Trudeau's prime minister. I've tried to confront him 4 times, successfully twice. And it's the same thing. He's pushing socialist policies, some communist policies, and some fascist policies. It's a mix of different flavors of collectivism. But of course, it's always, well, you must be a Trumpster if you don't like Trudeau, or you must be a commie if you don't like Harper. And it's like, how about we try and be consistent? There's been a huge loss in consistency over the last couple of years with the Canadian election and the U.S. election, and we need to get back to the roots of the problems of collectivism and, you know, the beauty of individual liberty, which, you know, there's only one person you truly have control over, and that is yourself. And without that, you don't have the basis of life itself. So to take, you know, a person's individual liberty to do what they want, say what they want, as long as they're not hurting anybody, is to basically take away their entire life.
Yep. All right, let's go on back to the YouTube chat and check your Steemit. Maybe give that a refresh. I think I saw a few dollars on there already, so probably got some potential questions coming in.
23 upvotes, $4.67, and 0 questions. Wow.
All right, somebody says, I don't agree with Tim Hortons banning you on their Wi-Fi. Yes, no, thank you. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, PFT is officially banned on Tim Hortons Wi-Fi, but there is the odd Tim Hortons that you can log on to, and I have a feeling those ones are probably the ones who have managers who are fans of the website and who have manually overridden that, because there's the odd, like, one out of 50 Tim Hortons you can get on Press for Truth when you go in there. But yeah, corporate shills, it's crap coffee anyways.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried
and
about
they
that.
can't even get their punctuation right. There should be an apostrophe before the S. But I think Luke Rudowski actually had an issue in France a while back ago too, where his videos weren't able to be played. Mm-hmm. And it's happening to a lot of independent medias, and it's a sign that we must be doing the right thing if they're banning us.
Someone here says, talk about censorship on Steemit. DDSSBV is asking, please talk about censorship on Steemit. Well, one of the good things about blockchain technology and a peer-to-peer based ledger system is that it's almost virtually impossible to censor things on the blockchain because it's all there, visible for everyone to see forever. Now, in the case of Steemit, there is potential there for possible censorship in the sense that in Steemit you have what are called minnows, dolphins, and whales. And somebody who has a lot of money, let's just say, for example, a millionaire out there wanted to just buy his way in, hypothetically someone could purchase a whole bunch of Steem, get a lot of Steem power, then get a lot of curating power and have the ability to vote for people and put certain people on the front page. And it may even have the ability to downvote people and eventually silence people. So there is potential room there for censorship. And as I say, these systems are still in beta. They're still trying to work out all of the kinks there. But yeah, I mean, there is room for that on Steemit. We do have to be aware of that. I don't know exactly... You know, if you can go to, like, how is it that a whale could potentially block information from getting off the front page?
Well, I mean, they could downvote, but I mean, it's a rare thing to see. There have been a few people that have posted some really disgusting stuff on Steemit that, you know, people have downvoted and kept off the page. Then a few people that, you know, attacked a few whales and got, you know, kind of downvoted. But here's the thing. I mean, as Steemit grows, the upvotes are based on the demand of you as an individual. So you post, and that is a product. You are providing a product or a service. And people upvote it with their dollar. It's capitalism, right? It's free market capitalism. And there's a few that might try to at times pull other people off the page. But as Steemit grows, that'll become less and less likely to see, because there are going to be far more whales and far more dolphins. And, you know, if you post something and it has quality, and you will get upvoted and you will do good. I've seen, you know, a big things happening on Steemit where, you know, someone got downvoted by a whale, and, you know, the community took care of it, and the whole issue was solved. It was settled. So that's all I have to say. I mean, I have never seen any issues personally with me or any of my friends or any independent medias getting censored on there. And, you know, individual demand is the smallest form of censorship you can imagine, compared to a government or an establishment or a Google or a Facebook censoring you and making sure that they deep six any possibility of you spreading whatever message you have.
I just noticed a super chat come up. Thank you so much, Brian, for the super chat. Very, very much appreciated. Let me see if there's a specific question attached to that. No, it was just a donation. All right, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Somebody is asking, what is a whale? Well, in Steemit, it's divided among minnows, dolphins, and whales. That's just basically the...
it's a crypto definition for anyone that has over average amount or larger than, most people have. If you're in like the top, I don't know, 100 people out of the 400,000, you're probably going to be a dolphin. There's some people on Steemit that have millions of dollars in their wallet. They're definitely dolphins if that money is in their Steem power. So the whales are basically that. Dolphins are usually over $5,000 in your wallet, and under that's a minnow. And and I've seen a lot of minnows make hundreds of dollars on a post. So don't see it as, well, you have to work constantly to get up to that level. People share each other's content, and I've seen a lot of minnows make good money. Like I said, the worst thing that could happen is you make a few cents on Steemit. That's the worst thing. That's not a bad problem to have.
Okay, I'm going to scroll through because there's been so many comments and questions coming through while we were, jumping around in the connection. But it seems to be mostly comments. Okay, here we go. Don't worry about global warming. Do you think truthers will ever win? I don't know if that's a comment for us or if that's just somebody.
I think we'll win. I think we're winning right now. We're winning so much. You're going to be saying, please, too much winning. Chill on the winning. We can't win so much. And I'm going to say, we're going to keep on winning and even harder. That was a terrible Trump impression. But, hey, look, truthers are getting bigger than ever. Think of what it was like just in the 90s and into the early 2000s, how far we've come since then. It's become really big, and I think nowadays more people are getting it. Most people on the street believe 9/11 was an inside job. Most people on the street, even the mainstream media, will say, the official story about Kennedy was not real. We just got to keep getting the Gulf of Tonkin stuff out there, Gladio, all the Operation Condor. We have to keep getting these things out there so more people understand it. But, hey, I think we are winning more than ever, and it's a clear sign just by the way that, they are talking about us now. For a long time, the mainstream media would just not talk about independent medias at all, hoping no one sees them. And now independent medias are becoming so popular that they're kind of just going, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about and trying to make us look bad, which is a good sign, really, that we are really a thorn in their side.
Okay, we'll jump on back here. Thank you so much for the question. We'll try to find some more comments and questions here. James Trudell, John 3:16, John 3:16, John 3:16. I think you're trying to tell us something. Yes, John 3:16. That is a good one. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believe on him shall have eternal life. Good one. Thank you, John. Good. Talk about the importance of understanding logical fallacies, ad hominem, and red herrings. Wow, interesting question. The importance of understanding logical fallacies. Wow.
Well, I guess you could also kind of go into the realm of limited hangouts and being able to decipher between what's real and what's not, and who's being honest and who is selling out and who is working for someone else and who is working on their own. And it takes a lot of psychological strength to get through it these days, because of course we're bombarded in the mainstream and in the independent world by a lot of fake nonsense, and you have to be able to research it, source it, cite it, and figure it out from there. And it's hard to ever say when someone's for real and when they're not, especially if you don't know them. I'm sure there's people in independent media that are plants, and then there's people that are accused of being plants that are really just good individuals working as hard as they can to get a message out. So it's dangerous territory too, because then you could end up accusing someone of something that they aren't. Mm-hmm. So it is psychological, right? You have to be able to decipher, and the vast majority of people can't. So hopefully, we have to kind of train their minds to understand what's real and what's fake, and give them the sourcing that we have access to, and show them, lead them to the light, I guess you could say. Say, you go this way, do it this way, and maybe you will find the truth. But it's not easy. You can only really speak for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I know within just experience from being in this movement for a long time, people are always going to spot the phonies too. I mean, I've seen so many guys come and go in this movement, and certain guys have even gotten really popular, even for 3-4 years. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they just disappear and fall off the face of the earth and just never do anything again. Generally, most of those people were in it for the wrong reasons. Some people, believe it or not, get into this because they want the idol worship. They want to be looked up to. They want they want to be famous. They want to be rich and famous. And if that's what you're getting into this movement for, then wow, you've got it completely backwards, and you're going to be spotted and pointed out as a phony that you are.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reputation thing, I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but yeah, there's people that, they worked hard for years, and then it turned out, yeah, their true colors came out. They wanted to basically be an idol to people, and they wanted to make big money or get laid or whatever you want to say for that. And then they start falling into the mainstream ideas under the guise of anti-establishmentarianism, and they basically follow along with the official stories. And we've seen that, especially over the last few years with some independent medias. And it's a shame because, a lot of us, we do really unpopular things because we believe in the truth and we believe in what we are putting out there, and we believe in the message of freedom. So we do really unpopular things that, annoy both sides. I've got Trump supporters hating me and Hillary supporters hating me, and I got communists hating me, fascists hating me, liberals hating me, socialists, conservatives. It's when you're trying to be consistent with your message and bring forward that message of individual liberty and truth, you kind of have to step on feet on either side of the spectrum and annoy people. That's where you see people that are for real, and then you see people that just kind of fall off that wagon and fall into what's popular and push that because they see success on the horizon of some form. But in the end, that success doesn't come because that lack of consistency ruins a reputation, and long term, these people are just kind of looked down on. That's the way I've seen it.
All right, a couple of cans of worms have been opened on the chat, so we're just going to go ahead and dive into it. We have a couple of interesting questions. One is asking us our opinions on what's going on with the wildfires in California. Another one asking about, can we talk about Vegas and the Vegas shooting? So why don't we start with California? That is bizarre. I've just recently come across a number of photos that were sent to me, and Josh showed me a few that he came across in the last few days. That it's bizarre. I mean, I don't understand some of them. I mean, some of them appear to have like cars completely melted with trees all around them.
Yeah, there's a lot of examples of big department stores burning to the ground in the middle of a parking lot with all the trees standing around it, cars burnt out with the trees all around it. And, there are some fake photos too. There's a few CGI photos that are making the rounds that we have to be careful not to fall into. But I've seen some, I saw Josh Steffler say in the chat, do you think it was direct energy weapons? The honest answer is, I don't know. It could be. I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough. But there's definitely something strange with that. And just considering the size and scope of the fire, it's one of the biggest. I think it is the biggest in the state's history in California. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, that says something considering we hear constantly in the news every year, California wildfires. It's a very common thing. Mm-hmm. But being the size and scope that it is, I mean, it would be a great form of terrorism to be used, a false flag of some form. Either way, I have no evidence, so I can't really make a definitive claim either way.
Yeah, there's still a lot to be looked into with that one, but we're certainly going to be taking the so-called official story with a grain of salt, because we know we're always often, more often than not, lied to when it comes to these the tragic events that set policy moving forward especially. And a good example is some of the things we've seen recently in Las Vegas. Yes, this needs to be talked about. The story continues to change. A lot of the timelines coming from the main police staff sergeant who's in charge of press relations has changed the story a number of times. Well, I shouldn't say he has. Maybe I should say the FBI has. I've got just more questions being raised about this event. More and more, it's seeming like it's a false flag. Now, when I say the words false flag these days, I don't want people to misconstrue this and confuse this with this notion that there were, crisis actors and nobody died and fake blood and all this sort of thing, or that Paddock was a Manchurian candidate, or who knows? I mean, there's. I don't want to speculate. I just want to stick to. Right now, there's too many things that do not make sense, that do not add up. And we have to point out all the holes in the official story that are starting to just come through like a piece of Swiss cheese right now.
Absolutely. With the Vegas shooting, there are a whole bunch of holes in the story. I remember the day of the shooting, or the night of, there were almost immediately posts on Reddit claiming that it was officers from the Las Vegas Police Department, and they were saying, look, we're going to make hints in our press conference, and we will take as long as we can to get to a motive, because the motive might embarrass the FBI. I think there's a big possibility that it's a gun-running situation with the FBI, but I don't know for sure. I can't say either way. But there's a lot of strange things happening. That Jesus Campos guy disappearing, the woman, a couple people now who survived have been found dead. There's definitely some really strange stuff going on, and there's also a lot of fake nonsense going on as well, which I think kind of goes into that limited hangout situation that I was talking about earlier, is that there are fake stories being pumped into the internet, and they're mixing up this story and that story, and before you know it, there's conspiracy theories fighting with other conspiracy theories, while the official story is competing with that, and there's like 50 different stories, and it confuses the whole situation, and then we never get the truth. So we have to be objective. We have to source things out and make sure that we know what we're talking about before putting out something that is under the guise of an anonymous source. So I think there's many things that pop up about the Vegas story that are confusing and don't make any sense, and I think we will eventually get more to this story coming out, but it just seems like, I don't know about you guys, but seems like it's getting more confusing by the day.
I'm just scrolling through the chat here, and I just noticed this one. Dan Dix is not a real truther, he's a gatekeeper. Look into it with the Canada shooting.
Oh man, see, I get messages about you all the time, Dan, from people that usually write in all capital letters with commas in between words unnecessarily, and like many commas, like 50 commas, and basically because you did the job that a journalist should do when the Ottawa shooting happened and said, before we jump to any conclusions, let's look at the facts first, because it just happened, which is something that is a responsibility of any proper journalist or reporter, is to not jump to conclusions and say, hey, look, this is what's happening. It's definitely this. I have no proof, but let's just put that theory out there until it catches some steam. You got to be objective. So yeah, I get comments all the time. Same with from Antifa. Dan Dix is a Nazi because he interviewed Christopher Cantwell. But Vice News, that they're not Nazis for also interviewing him and asking for some form of dialogue on a story that was all over the news. It's absurd.
I would love to someday interview someone like a Rothschild as well, and put them on the spot and dig into their ideology. And is that going to make me like as if I'm on par with the Rothschilds? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Obviously, you're running the Federal Reserve and you're secretly printing money and printing people into a debt slavery by interviewing a Rothschild.
I am the head of Hamas, according to some. They have matched up the shape of my ear with the other guy's ear, and it's a dead giveaway.
And the guy has a beard, so obviously beard, other guy with beard. Yeah. Definitely the same person. Yeah. I love how someone's going to find this video and clip out that part where you say, I am the head of Hamas.
True. Actually, apparently, my alter ego is Brett Greenberg. I've apparently been exposed that I am Brett Greenberg, and I am the son of Maurice Strong. I've heard as well.
So you got some roots in Winnipeg then as well. It's funny because I know that you on weekends are secretly Bill Hicks, but then you have to go all the way down to Texas, take over for InfoWars, and then come all the way back up here and become Dan Dix, and then go into Greenberg, son of Maurice Strong. I really don't understand where people get these theories. Some guy actually put together a video of myself interviewing Luke Rudowski at Anarchapulco 2017, and they cut it up so it was just us going but over and over again with a green screen bee flying around us with this long all capital description about how we are both globalist shills that work for the Rothschilds, that Luke's Putin's son, and I'm a dirty Jew, and, all sorts of stuff like that. And the whole video was just us going but with a bee flying around us. I think there are some people with severe mental illnesses out there that really need to find something better to do than try and debunk people that are putting their lives into spreading the truth and information. Instead, I don't know, go after horrible political ideologies. There's that saying that simple minds talk about people, average minds talk about events, and great minds talk about ideas. And maybe they should take some advice from that.
Yeah, really. Focus on changing the world instead of worrying about what other people are doing. One of the things I hate the most is when people saying, you know what, yeah, but you never talk about this. Why don't you ever talk about this particular issue? And most often than not, I have talked about that issue. I do cover that issue. But a lot of times I often think to myself, well, why don't you cover the issue? I mean...
Be the change you wish to see.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, there's a lot of issues that, I haven't covered yet, and I will. I'm going to cover these things, but there's only so much time in the day. A lot of times I end up thinking to myself, hey, what's stopping you guys from going out and making your own videos on this yourselves?
Yeah, exactly. People have to, pick up the shovel every now and then, and, it's funny because you mentioned people will say, well, you haven't done this issue or that issue. Sometimes I'll put up a video literally about the Federal Reserve, and someone will comment 10 seconds after I post the video, why aren't you reporting on the Federal Reserve? I mean, I swear some of these people don't actually watch the videos, don't look at even the titles, and just go out of their way in order to, I don't know, try and start a conflict. And that's just unfortunately the way a lot of people are, and I just tend to try and ignore them.
Don't feed the trolls is pretty much is what rule I live by. When
Except for you just fed them with "I'm the head of Hamas," which is going to be a great clip.
That's true. Yeah, I'll watch out for that later. Someone here says, "Press for truth. Have you ever interviewed Kevin Annett yet? He embodies what a true anarchist is. You should get behind his Republic of Kannada freedom movement." I haven't interviewed Kevin Annett, and I've purposely stayed away from that one, to be honest. Not just because of the controversies surrounding the validity of his findings, but a lot of people who whose research I respect have informed me that he's not to be trusted, and I don't want to give somebody a platform unless I'm really sure about what I'm doing with that person. And with Kevin Annett, I'm not. So I don't know if you're familiar with Kevin.
Yeah,
Annett,
I know him. I used to talk with him and his, I believe, brother Hunter. See, I was going to do some stuff with him, and I'll just leave it at this. I've had some friends that have had dealings with him, and it just didn't turn out like it should have. It was a dishonest situation, so I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get libeled here. So, but yeah, there's some issues. If you have a different experience, let us know. I mean, if there's good evidence of these things that he pushes actually working and being a legit operation, then let us know. I'm going to leave it at that, though.
Okay, we've got a whole bunch more coming through. What do you guys think about the Weinstein issue? Is Trump actually succeeding at chasing out the pedophiles from power positions? I'm not so sure that what's happening with Weinstein in Hollywood is a direct result of Trump's crackdown on pedophiles. In fact, there's a lot of photos of Trump with Weinstein, Trump's daughter and his son-in-law, Kushner.
Not to mention Jeffrey Epstein as well.
Trump hanging around with Epstein of the famed Lolita Express. So I'm not so sure that there is actually a connection there. I have seen earlier on in Trump's presidency, he did seem to be cracking down on pedogate and these sorts of things, which is fantastic. But what's happening right now, what's happening in Hollywood is its time has come. I mean, this is something that has been slowly unraveling. We've seen actors like Corey Feldman. We've seen people like Elijah Wood. We've seen others being vocal about the fact that this goes on. But this is what it took, I suppose, is that this one big one to really kick it off. But I think this is just the beginning about what we're going to learn more of what goes on in Hollywood.
Well, mark my words, Ben Affleck is going to be the next big downfall alongside people like Bill Cosby. I mean, there was Operation Pacifier, which was going on even under Obama for a while. I mean, I find that the CIA and the global establishment is very lenient towards people of that disgusting view, the pedophiles of the earth. And what's happening in Hollywood is a great example of something that independent media has been talking about for decades and called crazy for doing just that. So I think that there is a lot coming out. There is kind of a domino effect seeming to happen. I wouldn't say that Trump is the one that's behind that. There were a lot of busts under Trump, but they were part of operations that were going on before he was president. So let's keep it factual in that sense. But I understand why, people are desperate to get rid of these pedophiles. I am too. We need to. But let's, be legitimate about who's doing that. And we're not going to just leave it off for a president to do it. It takes individuals basically coming out against them. The creep catchers are a great example of that. The creep catchers in Victoria, British Columbia, that are going out and catching pedophiles. They basically socially engineer them to come and meet up with them, and then they have a camera and they get exposed. There are a lot of pedophiles out there, and we need to be able to crack down on them, but let's be clear about who's doing that. When Trump is, hanging out with the Clintons, hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, I have some serious doubts that he is actually cracking down on that kind of stuff, especially considering, some of his past statements. I was a little lenient myself on Trump during the election over some of his statements regarding women, because obviously there was enough in the mainstream media about that when there wasn't anything about how the Clintons have treated women for decades, and I wanted to report on that. But there are some examples of Trump saying some pretty creepy stuff to young girls that are under 18 and stuff like that. And it makes you wonder, but with that said, I mean, let's just hope that people keep coming out and start naming names instead of being afraid to speak the name of evil and put the word out there and get other people aware of it so it doesn't happen to more people, because it's just going to get passed down the line if no one says anything.
Yeah, the issue of not naming names, I think, is a big one. I mean, recently that commercial actor Terry Crews came out saying that he was sexually abused from a high-level Hollywood executive. But he's not naming any names. Elijah Woods talked about stuff. He didn't name names. Corey Feldman's not naming names. And these guys are scared. They're scared because look at Harvey Weinstein's powerful connections to the Clintons and the Obamas. I mean, these people are connected. They're powerful. Mm-hmm. But they could potentially be saving lives out there just by naming these names. It's easier said than done. I mean, it takes a lot of courage to be able to do that. But this reminds me of when Milo Yiannopoulos came out and he said, when everybody was labeling him as a pedophile and that he was supporting pedophilia and everything, he admitted that he went on cruises, parties and stuff where there were that those types of things were going on. And when he told that, he never named any names. And
I know, it's ridiculous.
It's so wrong. So first of all, kudos for these people for at least saying something.
It took them a little long. I mean, a great example is Ashley Judd, who is, everything is rape. You think about me, it's rape. You look at me, it's rape, all that. And then it turns out she's been hiding this stuff about an actual rapist going around raping women and sexually abusing them around Hollywood. The whole time she stays quiet for 25 years, but she pretends to speak for women and speak up against rape. No, she just calls everything she sees rape and then covers up an actual rapist's crimes so other women get raped by them instead. I think it's ridiculous. Weinstein's just the beginning. I wanted to quickly do a shout out because I have a comment here on Steemit by Dwayne Hayes, who asked another question on the live chat, which I think we answered about logical fallacies. But he asked, can you talk about the role that compulsory education has played in the propagandization of every generation since the founding of the Rockefeller and Carnegie Foundation?
I am so glad that I do not have kids in school, because I've always said that if I did, I would have been one of those parents who would have sat down with them and said, okay, look, the history class is telling you this, but here's what really happened. Now, you go ahead and tell your exam paper and your test what it wants to hear, so you can go ahead and get that A and you can get out of there and pass. But know this, son. Here's what really went down. I'm not in favor of a public education system the way we have it today. In fact, I don't even think an education system, a real solid education system, works. What we have is an indoctrination camp. We have a programming system. We have a brainwashing camp that's churning out factory workers. And that's churning out people who are incapable of critical thought. And when you bring that into the university levels, that even multiplies. So I'm all for homeschooling and just not having anything to do with that kind of educational system whatsoever.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always encouraged people to drop out of school because I dropped out when I was in grade 9. And I just picked up books. It wasn't that I didn't like learning. It was that I didn't like being indoctrinated, and I knew what I was learning was wrong. I had the personal strength to do that. My parents weren't aware of that at the time. They weren't aware of that system. But I was. I managed to be, and I'm lucky I was, because I read a ton of books. And I wanted to give you guys a few examples of books that you can read, which is Crimes of the Educators by Alex Newman. There's The School Revolution by, of course, none other than Dr. Ron Paul. And Holly Swanson is a great author as well, who's broken down all the horrible situations within the public school system and how they push eugenics and Agenda 2030 kind of nonsense in public schools today. I think you get a much better education today just watching independent media. I mean, that's where we've gotten to, folks, is that the public school system is all about indoctrination and brainwashing people so they can grow up and then watch the mainstream media and can continue to get brainwashed. Look at universities, too, just filled with Marxist professors that push, every form of control complex imaginable. So getting out of that public school system is incredibly important in order to free your mind and free yourself from the chains so many revere. So that's what I have to say about it. But as for the going back to the Rockefeller and Carnegie Foundation, all I can say is good riddance to David Rockefeller and good riddance to Zbigniew Brzezinski. We've lost a few monsters this year, and they're going to be more lost than ever where they're going. So I think we're looking at a bright future as long as people like yourselves that are watching this video look to independent media, look to good literature that's not just state propagated nonsense. And by the way, I'm looking at Steemit.com right now. Again, thanks for the comment, Dwayne Hayes. It seems like my live Steemit post is starting to take off. $108.
So
nice.
Josh is already up to $108 that he's made. We've only been broadcasting for less than an hour, and that's 108 Steam dollars.
And this is all I did. I wrote a title, Live Steemit Q&A, Ask Us Anything, Press for Truth and WAM. Posted a picture of Dan and I wrote, hey everyone, tonight Dan Dix of Press for Truth and I are going live to answer any and all of your questions. Tune in at this link and either join us in the YouTube live chat or comment below your questions. That was all I did. $108.
I did the same thing, and I got shafted out of $108 because it didn't want to work for me for some reason.
Oh, man.
Didn't post for me, so
yeah,
that's okay. You can't
win them all.
Can't win them all. But hey, you guys can maybe help me out, make that up on the pressfortruth.ca/donate link located in the description below. Of course, we always need your support. That's why I've been posting on Steemit and DTube so much, because it's been helping to supplement my income that I've been losing from the YouTube adpocalypse. And Steemit's been a fantastic
Absolutely. Steemit has saved my life. I mean, I don't know what I would have done. After all this demonetization, Steemit has kept me on my feet enough to feed myself. And I'm in Vancouver, or I'm in outside of Vancouver right now. Coming from Winnipeg, and I paid for it with this. I paid for my recent trip to Vegas. Otherwise, trust me, I don't make very much money at all, but it's enough to live on, and I love what I do, so it's worth it. But Steemit is really helping independent media thrive and continue to thrive, especially also with the use of DTube now. So you have the Facebook alternative with Steemit, and then you can sign in with Steemit to DTube.video. And you can go there and upload your videos there, and it's a decentralized video sharing platform where you can make money on your upvotes using Steem. It's all about the demand of your posts, and it's a beautiful thing, because I do believe that we are looking at the future, where the internet was, the future of televised news and newspapers. Now, DTube is the next generation. It's the future of news again. All of what we've seen on YouTube and Facebook. How we're being censored and pushed to the side and pushed to the curb. The decentralized websites based in cryptocurrencies are really going to replace that. That is now becoming antiquated. Yes, you heard that right. YouTube and Facebook are becoming antiquated. I feel like it was just yesterday that I first started going on Facebook and YouTube, but I mean, I'm telling you, like, we have to keep up with the future, and this is a true free market, individualist future that we're looking at.
And with us in independent media, they've been trying to silence voices such as ours. And in general, there's been a major move towards the shutdown of the free flow of information online. You look back as far as even 2012, I think it was, when we started seeing CISPA and PIPA and ACTA and SOPA and all these pieces of legislation that they tried to use the system in order to silence us, but it didn't work. Every single time, these things were stopped, and so now they're going the route of financial terrorism and just sweeping the rug from under us by trying to pull this YouTube adpocalypse nonsense. But what it did is it sparked this free market movement. We talked about this earlier in a video you're going to be probably posting tomorrow, but ever since the YouTube adpocalypse happened, now we have DTube, we have VidMe, we have BitChute. We have all these new and exciting blockchain type based applications spawning, all because they tried to block us on YouTube. So it's that whole cliche thing. You try to strike us down, we only we come up bigger.
Yeah, you take down one of us, 10 more take their place, and it's kind of like every single time they try to attack us, we come out on top. It's a way it works. It's someone's looking out for us, every time these people try and deep six us, something else comes along and we basically get the upper hand. I mean, they use the internet in order to surveil the masses. Same with Facebook and Google. And look what happened. The entire establishment started getting pulled apart by the seams by actual truth and information that was put out there on the internet. Now they're centralizing everything on the internet. So, well, what can you do? You move to a decentralized platform, and that's basically the future, in my opinion. I want to give a shout out to Inventor16. Thank you for upvoting me on Steemit.com. And regarding that video that you mentioned, Dan, so I'm going to be posting that tomorrow at World Alternative Media. I know there's a few people watching this video that aren't sure who I am, so just another reminder, World Alternative Media on YouTube. And on Facebook and other places. Let's just stick to YouTube and Steemit for now, because it's bad enough that I'm still on some of these dinosaur social medias.
Yeah, we're going to have all the links in the description to Josh's channel and to Josh's Steemit account, as well as my Steemit account. And I'm going to go ahead and post this video right now as soon as we're done to Steemit anyways, even though it's a little late to the party, but I want to get my $108 too.
Yeah. So, come on, the Joe Hall Files. That's a guy who upvoted me. Come on, Joe Hall Files. Upvote Dan.
Yeah. Hook me up, brother.
I really have to give a big thanks to that guy, though. I mean, this is an example of individuals watching independent media, and they want to support it. And we have the demand. We definitely have the productivity. I mean, both of us work constantly to bring new information constantly up to the public, and then we finish, and then, time to start something else. Let's get this one up. It's a lot of work, guys, so a big shout out to the people that upvote and support independent media. It's incredibly important. It's literally the future of information and the flow of information. We need independent media. If you don't want to support me, don't support Dan, support We Are Change, support Dollar Vigilante, support Corbett Report. I mean, there's so many people out there that are doing incredible work to bring the message of individual liberty and truth and information forward. So it's very important.
Yeah. So don't delay. Get on those links and subscribe. I think we're going to maybe go ahead and call it for this broadcast. We've been going for over an hour now, and our connection is not that great. But I'm starting to think that while Josh is in town until Thursday, we should probably get in one more of these, at least one more. So stay tuned over the next couple of days. Maybe we'll try to get a notification out or schedule the live stream this time, so you guys can have a little bit of a heads up when we're going to go live. And we'll do this again maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, but we'll definitely try to pull it off again before you leave. I think that'd be a good idea.
Absolutely. And until next time, fellow humans.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Keep fighting the good fight.
All right,
guys. Think of something.
Yeah.
All right, see you later.
Take care.